all you've got to do is just find a way of feeling better, find a way of getting in the vortex. But before you can do that, we acknowledge we have to do a good job of convincing you that what you want is in the vortex. And we know it's hard for you to take our word for it. We're not even physically focused. Here we are. We have no rent to pay whatsoever. We are vibrational beings in a vibrational world, here focused with you, yes, aware of the bills you have and the food you're trying to gather and the resources that you want and the accumulation of assets. We know that you're physically focused. It's as you intended it to be. And we know how annoying it must be to be in a time where there is exaggerated physicality and have someone talking about a vibrational vortex. But we want you to understand that everything that ever exists in the expansion of this universe came out of contrast and was a vibrational reality first, a vibrational reality that was tended to by the broader non-physical part of you. And you, even while you are here in these physical bodies, you are more source energy than you are the physical you. And when the physical you gives birth to an exaggerated desire, the non-physical you embraces it and becomes the vibrational equivalent of it, and never, ever, ever, not for one moment ever, ceases calling you home to who life has caused you to become. So we want you to understand something that most, maybe you in this room can hear it, some of you, but most around the planet could not hear this in the fullness of the way that we mean it. We want you to understand that as your life has caused you to become more, that every bit of discomfort that you have is not because you're losing your money in the stock market, or not because your job feels threatened or is gone, or not because you're worried about your financial well-being or your physical well-being or any other thing. In every single case, every little bit, every iota, every particle, every piece of negative emotion that you feel, every single bit of it is because your life caused you to become more and you're not being it. Now, there have never been more reasons in all of physicality for people to focus and blame and not let themselves be who they really are. In other words, you're justified. You are utterly justified in your complaining. You're justified. It's just that there is no justification that really is valid enough to deprive yourself of who you are. You see, if life didn't cause you to be more, then it wouldn't hurt you when you don't be it. But life did cause you to be more, and now you got to be it or you're going to hurt. It's just that simple. Now, you can't fix what's going on in the greater economy, and you don't need to. You don't need to, because the balance of your planet is sufficient enough that it will right itself. It is our absolute promise to you. There are billions of people asking, and in that asking, this escrow is huge, and the calling toward the escrow has never been greater. There has never been a time that we have been in a position to speak to you with more knowledge of the upcoming well-being of your time-space reality than now. But you've got to decide how long you are going to be one of the resistant, non-cooperative components to the improvement. And you just can't have it both ways. You can't complain about what's going on and be a vibrational match to the improvement at the same time. You just can't. So the first thing you're going to have to do, if you decide that you're going to be someone who thrives in times of hardship, and there are always those who thrive in times of hardship, aren't there? There are those who survive epidemics. There are those who thrive in hard times. In other words, we want you to step back far enough. You know how when you're in your airplane and you're looking across the landscape, high in the sky, 500 miles an hour, 50,000 feet in the sky, and you look down, it all looks pretty calm down there, doesn't it? Put it on the ground at that speed, not so calm. We're encouraging you to take flight. We're encouraging you to back up from it. Get a longer view and understand that it is not possible for things to get worse in a universe that is expanding. But this is something that you may begin to notice. As contrast exists, and it always will, and as everything is expanding, including contrast, so as contrast becomes more, then asking becomes as an individual who can't control what the others do, let loose of your own resistance and go with the flow, then you become one who experiences immediate thriving. Now, this is the part about something that you're going to have to learn to do during this interim. It's just a few months during this interim. You have to decide that you don't care what others think of you, because the number of people that are going to complain about your thriving are greater today than ever before. So when you thrive, we encourage you to do it privately. No point in rubbing salt into the wounds of those who aren't thriving. In other words, wait till someone says, "You seem so happy. Why are you so happy during these hard times?" Be gentle about what you say to them. If you say, "I'm not having hard times," their next response will be, "Well, then I hate you." So they've asked you, "Why are you doing so well? Why are you so happy?" And you say, "Because I stepped back and I took a broader view. And I realized that everything cycles and that it's going to be all right. And I have this inherent belief that in the long run, things always get better and better and better and better and better. And I've known in everything that I've ever witnessed in this physical environment that those who look with longer view are always those who have the greatest thriving." Jerry and Esther have been working on some building projects, just little things like their personal residence and so forth. And when they drive through cities and see these huge projects with giant cranes and hundreds of people working in the building, and then they see some of the drawings of what's planned for this development, Jerry and Esther will say, someone really is thinking long range. When they see the city planners planning freeways that will not even be built in their lifetimes, Esther says, that really takes some long-range planning, that someone could be anticipating what this city needs is going to be long after he will no longer not only be a city manager, he will not even be in physical form, and yet he has the broadness of thinking to plan down the road. There is a lot of long-range planning that goes on in your physical environment. And we're just wanting you to approach it with a slight difference than most people that you know. We want to convey and even convince you of the reality of your vibrational reality. And we want to assure you that in every time, no matter whether the contrast is great or small, you have put much more into your vibrational escrow than you have allowed yourself to live. And so, this gathering, we just want to help you to become more consciously aware, moment by moment, about whether you're in the vortex or out of the vortex. Because when you're inside this vortex, when you're up to speed with who you have really become, then something going wrong, or someone being mean, or someone being upset, or even not having enough money doesn't have the negative impact on you that it does when you're outside the vortex. It's like having sea legs that are carrying you. So, you come from non-physical. A part of you comes into this experience called the personality of you. Contrast causes you to know what you don't want and know what you do want, so you ask for more constantly. And when you ask, that request is known and received and understood and actually devoured by the larger non-physical part of you. So the larger part of you, far away the larger part of you, already stands in vibrational, not just readiness, but resonance with what you've been asking for. Now, law of attraction, which is the law that manages all of this vibrational universe in which all of us are focused, whether we are physically or non-physically focused, this law of attraction now is responding to this powerful request, and all that source energy that is tending that vibration. Now, hear this. You're gonna, if you can hear this, relief is going to sweep over you immediately, whether you are thinking personally or globally. So here is this request, bigger than it's ever been, on a number of different topics. And source energy tending to this vibration, and law of attraction responding to this vibrational reality. Now, there's something we want you to hear. Law of attraction is an equal opportunity across the board law, responding to all things in the similar way that gravity responds to all things in your environment. Nothing is left out of the response. This law of attraction's response to this vibrational reality, this vibrational escrow, is so much bigger than law of attraction's response to what you know as your physical reality. We can't even find proper numbers to make the comparison. This is huge. And you can rest assured that eternity depends on it, and so it's in very good hands. So as law of attraction is responding to the best that all of you have asked for, to the abundance and the thriving that you have asked for, now maybe, if we've painted a clear enough picture for you about the bigness of law of attraction's response to your vibrational reality in comparison with the not very bigness of what you're living in your current reality, now, if you try, maybe you can get a sense of why not being part of this flow feels like such a major problem. So much that as people around the world are all focusing on things and not allowing themselves to go with this flow that gets bigger with every resistant, I know what I don't want, I know what I do want request. Do you get it? How? First of all, it can't last that long, because when something this strong is pulling, this is going to get swept up in it eventually. And that's why we can promise you unequivocally that things are always getting better in the long run. But if you want short-term gain, then you have to do something about getting yourself in the vicinity of the vortex, which means at least try to be hopeful. And if you're hopeful in the vicinity, you'll be swept right in. If you're angry, you're not near it. And you're going to have to wait till the whole of society comes along. Or until you croak, whichever comes first. If you're in frustration, you may get an occasional glimpse of well-being, but it won't be substantial enough. And so you'll probably stay outside the vortex. But if you can start training yourself into some hopeful conversations, if you can start looking for some positive aspects about where you stand, as you train yourself into the hopeful vicinity, you'll get swept in, and your thriving will become evident. And for a little while, you're thriving. It would be nice if you could just get in there and start thriving, and you could speak your words of hopefulness to others. But do you see, you had a presidential candidate who spoke hope and now hardly dares to, because the hope sounds off in the current situation. But we think it would be a very good idea if you could be a chorus of one hopeful voice. Quietly hopeful. Quietly hopeful. Coming into vibrational, and the only reason we say quietly is because there's just no point in you getting in the vortex and sparkling like you'll feel when you're in there, and then trying to use your words to bring someone else in, because chances are they'll drag you out. In other words, get in there and stabilize and start thriving in the way that you know you can, and then watch what begins to happen. So